All right, I have a fun little game cooked up here for you two. Well, actually, the three of us can make a decision here. We can decide as a show. This game is called Is It a Sport?
Okay.
It's sports time. We've been talking about sports. There's Deflategate. The Super Bowl's right around the corner. It's the prime time for sports.
Sure.
Harris Interactive holds, I think, like 2,000 people, and the results are here. The game is simply, is this a sport? All right, so I'll get my game show music here, and I will, like I said, it needs 2 votes to be a sport in this room.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So obviously things like football, baseball, tennis, hockey, we can all agree are sports.
Yeah.
What about bowling? Is bowling a sport?
Yes.
Chandel.
No, I think it's a game.
This one is really tough. I'm going to go ahead and give bowling the benefit of the doubt and say that while I wouldn't call you an athlete if you're a bowler, I'm going to say that it is in fact a sport, and 52% of people agree with us.
Okay.
Okay, but I may be drawing a line here. Let's keep going. All right. Kat, is dodgeball a sport?
I consider dodgeball a game, but I do think there are people who consider dodgeball sport.
So your vote is sport or not sport?
I'm going with sport.
Okay. Chandel, what do you think about dodgeball? Is it a sport?
I'm going to go with sport on that one.
I am too. Dodgeball, I think definitely a sport, although 40% of people agree. Let's talk about what I consider the little brother of dodgeball, kickball. Kat Mykals, kickball, sport or not a sport?
Not a sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. I feel like you're using your body in a physical way. You're running bases. You're kicking a ball. I think of any of these, this might be the most of a sport so far.
Okay.
Chandel.
Yeah, I think it's a sport.
Okay, so far they've all been sports, but we're going to get here. Let's talk about competitive dance.
I do consider that to be a sport.
Chandel.
That's definitely a sport.
When you make it competitive, I'm going to say sure, it is a sport. 3 for 3. Okay, how about fishing? I'm going to go ahead and vote, how in the world can anyone call that a sport? But that's just my vote. I'm only 1/3.
I know there are people who do consider that sport. I am not necessarily one of them.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I consider that
Like a pastime.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only physical movement is in the cast, really, and maybe you're reeling in a big fish. You need, I suppose, some upper body strength for that, but not enough that I'm going to call that one a sport. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's a dumb thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not a sport, in my opinion.
Right.
And it looks like we're all in agreement there. 33% of people think it's a sport.
Unless you're like on Deadliest Catch or something like that, I don't think it's a sport. Then it might qualify.
Okay, sure. Let's talk about, this is probably the most talked about one of them all so far. Cheerleading.
I do consider that to be a sport. The effort and the physicality that goes into that, absolutely.
Chandel.
And I was not a cheerleader. If anything, I was like the cheerleader antichrist, but I do consider it sport.
That was actually her nickname in high school, was the cheerleading antichrist. Chandel, is cheerleading a sport?
Definitely.
I agree. I definitely think cheerleading is a sport. Not only that, it is no joke. I've been to many high school football games where the girls cheering on the side are way more athletic than anything on the field.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Let's keep 33% of people consider cheerleading a sport. 3 of them are here in this room with us. Ultimate Frisbee, sport or not a sport?
I don't consider that a sport, but that's...
All right. Chandel.
I'm going to go no.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by. I feel like if it requires like conditioning, and I feel like it is a sport. My vote is for sport, but you two will win because it's 2-1. This is a democracy. I say sport. 32% of people consider it a sport. Let's talk about billiards. Pool. Sport or not a sport? Captain Mykals, I'm looking at you.
I don't consider it sport. I consider it a skill, and I consider it a pastime, but I don't consider it a sport.
Chandel.
No, I think it's just a game.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between you two. Yeah, I think that, I mean, there is training involved. There is practice, there's preparation. There are things that you can do to make yourself better than others, but it is a pastime and a talent as opposed to a sport, in my opinion. 28% of people consider billiards to be sport.
All right.
Chess. The game of chess. Now I feel like we're getting into the laughable category.
Wow.
But, Kat, I will ask you, do you consider chess to be a sport?
Again, I think chess is a skill. I think it's pastime. I think it's a hobby, but I don't consider it to be sport. To me, sport is a physical thing, a very physical thing.
I consider that to be I think physical ability needs to be factored into what I consider to be a sport. Chandel, is chess a sport?
No, it's a game.
I consider chess to be oh hell no. Like, why is this even on the paper? But 14% of people think chess is a sport.
Oh, wow. Those 14 people probably don't leave mom's basement very often.
Yes, they probably are people who play chess.
I will tell you, according to Wikipedia, which is not the end-all be-all, of course, but according to Wikipedia, sport is described as all forms of usually competitive physical activity, which through casual or organized participations aim to use, maintain, or improve physical ability and skills while providing entertainment to participants.
All right, I've got a few more. Do you guys want them?
Yes.
This next one says, I don't even know what this is. Quidditch, the imaginary sport from Harry Potter that some kids have started to play.
Oh my gosh, they used to play that in like the courtyard at USI, and it would weird me out because there's just kids running around on broomsticks.
Wait, they're really on broomsticks?
Yes.
I don't know what it is. So I guess, I mean, it could be, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to go with
a sport.
I'm going to go with a no.
I do not consider it to be a sport. It's a fictitious thing from a story.
I think anything that is riding on a broomstick is more cosplay or role-playing than it is actual sport. All right. Competitive, by the way, 11% of people consider Quidditch to be a sport. Poker. There's a World Series of poker.
Again, skill, yes. Pastime, yes. Hobby, yes. Sport, it doesn't fall under my definition of sport.
Chandel.
Yeah, no, it's just a game.
Anything you can do sitting in a recliner, it to me is not a sport. 11% of people consider poker a sport. I'll give you two more. Competitive video gaming. I will hold my thoughts for last.
Again, skill, pastime, hobby, absolutely. Sport, I'm sorry, no.
So offended, Kat.
No, you're not.
Chandel.
Definitely not a sport.
Video games is the farthest thing from sports you can actually be.
It is like the anti-sport.
Even if you're playing a sport video game, I'm sorry, and you know how much I love video games.
I know.
And most of my pastime is wrapped up in video games. I am no athlete. I have great video game prowess, but I consider myself far from an athlete. 9% of people, though, consider competitive video gaming to be a sport. All right, and here's one last one. Competitive eating.
Man.
Now, this one I feel like actually has an argument. Because you do need to... You are physically doing things. And you need to be conditioned for it. And it is kind of intense. But I feel... Boy, I don't know. All right, Kat, competitive eating. Is it a sport?
I don't consider it sport.
Chandel.
It is not a sport.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a no, but more a sport than chess, poker, and video games is my thought on that one. And only 6% of people consider competitive eating to be a sport. So there you go. Now we know what officially qualifies as a sport and not as a sport here on the Rob's Radio Show.